Welcome back, everyone. Collection Month continues with another installment, and today we're taking a look at all of my Tomy, Trackmaster, and Motorized items. While I think Thomas Wooden Railway is the most charming and well-built Thomas toy line, I think these are the most versatile and enjoyable Thomas toys. Putting together a huge layout and running the engines around pulling huge trains is so much fun. I've been in love with these toys for such a long time. I had a few items around the time I was getting into Wooden Railway, but around 2010, I got super into it, and I've been steadily building up my collection ever since. It's not near as big as my Wooden Railway collection, but big enough to warrant its own video. We're gonna do things a little differently today. I thought we'd divide the video into 3 different sections. Each section will be devoted to all 3 companies that made motorized Thomas toys, starting with Tomy in the 90s, then going to Hit Toys in the mid-2000s, and finally ending with Mattel. I'm also going to change up how I present the items. In the last video, I talked about every item I own, and while I enjoyed doing that, it took forever to edit. To ensure this comes out on time, I'm going to introduce and conclude each section and basically speed run through the items. That'll both save me a bunch of time and will make the video a lot more ingestible for you all. Alright, we've got over 30 years worth of motorized Thomas toys to take a look at. And what better range to start off with than the OG. Here are all of the Tomy items I own. And that'll do it for the Tomy section. If I had to pick 5 standouts from this era, I'd definitely pick the 2018 Thomas, the Railway Series Thomas, Murdoch, Neville, and the Freight Set. They're all super well detailed and charming. Speaking of detailed, let's hit up the Hit Toy era. In 2007, the Hit Toy Company formed and acquired the rights to make motorized Thomas toys. The engine stayed virtually the same construction-wise, but the track was redesigned and the infamous Trackmaster name was coined. I'm absolutely in love with this era. All of the toys are super well detailed, and there was such a great sense of world building and simplicity. Let's take a look at what I got. And that's my hit toy library. The standouts from my collection are probably Stepney, Harvey, these red coaches, the Toad and Trucks pack, and of course, Donald and Douglas. It was a very long, tedious process trying to acquire complete versions of these guys, but I remember being so satisfied when I finally got the tender for Douglas. This may be a hot take, but I truly think the hit toy era is the best era of motorized Thomas toys, and one of the best eras of Thomas toys, period. Not only were the items incredibly detailed, but there was this huge cast of characters, and they really encouraged kids to build this huge world. Amazing toys. Hit toys didn't stick around for long though, unfortunately. Mattel acquired the rights to make Trackmaster and Take-Along in 2009 and rolled out their new products in 2010. You'll definitely notice that I have an unintentional affinity toward this era. While it was the era I grew up with, I think these toys became even more visually appealing. All of the engines gained extra details like painted eyes and lighting, and they look so much more natural. So, let's dive in. And with that, we come to the end of classic Trackmaster. I'm very fond of the early Mattel era. Even though the show's cast was very limited at the time, there were still tons of characters lining the shelves. I mean, they were still making Boko and Duke in 2011, and they hadn't been in the show for over 10 years. They also still sold a wide variety of rolling stock and simple sets. Really a great era to grow up with. Can't say the same for Trackmaster 2 though. Once Mattel fully acquired all things Thomas in 2013, they really started cheapening the toy lines. One of the biggest sins they ever committed was shitting on Trackmaster and taking away everything that made it fun. The track system was changed, there weren't as many characters, everybody started to use the exact same chassis, and, in my opinion, the worst thing that happened to the Motorized line, they couldn't freewheel anymore. What the hell is up with that? One of the coolest things about Tomy and Trackmaster was that along with making the engines go by themselves, you could freewheel them in any direction you wanted. Now, we can't do that. Ugh! I don't have as many items from this era. I was really offended by these changes as a 10-year-old, and I only have the cool looking ones, mostly from the 2020 Motorized line. I also have a few new in-box items too, though I don't think I'll ever take them out of the box anytime soon. Mattel, again, finally opened one of their two eyes in 2025 and released a new iteration of Motorized Thomas toys for the 80th anniversary. I can still vividly remember my reaction to seeing that Toy Fair picture from earlier this year. There was such a sense of relief that went through my body. Though they are held back by some of the restrictions placed by Trackmaster 2, these look so much better. So much more proportional to their CGI models. I have every single new release from the new Motorized line, so let's take a look. And just like that, that's everything based on classic Thomas. But we're not done yet. In 2024, it was revealed that two classic characters were getting toys in the All Engines Go style, one of which being Donald. You all know that the Scotts are my favorite characters, and I was so excited when this was revealed, albeit being in the All Engines Go style. I am still a bit confused though as to why they never did Douglas. Were they afraid kids were going to get confused between the two? I don't really know. For a cartoony version of Donald, this looks really, really cool. I really like the tender. I have two of them out of the box because one day, I'm hoping to turn one of them into a Douglas to fill that empty void in my heart. If anyone's interested in helping me out, leave a comment below or DM me. Not only do I have 2 out of the box, but I also have 2 brand new in the box. Because when the hell are we ever gonna get another toy of Donald in America? You gotta stockpile. And there we have it. That is my entire Motorized collection. I am so happy to have built up this collection lately. There's definitely a reason why this type of toy has been around for so long. It's one of the most enjoyable ranges ever. It's so much fun to put together a huge layout and send the trains crashing off a bridge or into a hospital full of sick children. I really hope we continue to get new, good-looking Motorized toys in the future. We're apparently getting a new offering next year, and I just hope that we return to that escapist toy line with a huge library of items and that level of simplicity. Again, I highly recommend you pick up any of these toys if you can. Well, maybe not these. Your attention will be captured and your imagination will soar.